At what point in your life or at what point in your career did you feel the weight of that power?
Had always dreamed of having an empire that could shape perspectives, generally. What it was going to be, I didn't know.
Would you work with your significant other? Would you partner in the same business, the same field with your spouse? Well, today I have in conversation with me a woman who does. She creates, but I will let her elaborate. Her name is Bola Yinka-Obebe. Welcome to She Creates.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. I love the hair.
Oh, thank you.
I've always been a fan of showing your grays and, shining your grays because it's something that is very familiar to me and my family. So,
oh, really?
Oh, yes. I have a gray patch in the middle of my head. And I love it.
Oh, beautiful.
My grandmother, before she died, she was all silver. My mother now is practically or almost all silver. So I see the future. I see where my future is going.
Right. I guess I'm getting there a lot earlier. I see myself turning gold. Yeah, because that's what tends to happen. My sister now, who's about 10 years older than I am, her hair is turning gold. And I'm like, okay, nice. Let's see how this goes.
Let's see how this goes. Well, I did say in the introduction that you are a woman who creates. You've been in the media and communication space. You've worked in administration as well around the media and communication space. You've been into content production, and now you are a co-founder of Popcentral TV, and it's I would say a very young audience related.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Gen Z
channel, Gen Z, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And you do all of this, or you've done most of it with your husband.
All of it
with your husband.
Yes.
And I guess people will be wondering, are you not tired of seeing the same face day in, day out? You're working in the same space, sleeping in the same bed. Like how do you navigate that?
We get this question all the time. And quite frankly, it's very difficult to answer because it's our everyday living. So it's not strange to us. It's not like we've always worked together, right? We started working together out of a need. Speaking of creating, I started my entire career in fashion. Running a label and took it as high as I could. I mean, at the time, it was doing really well, did runways and all of that. And he was starting out as an entrepreneur, always been in media, and needed to set up his business, morphing from a one-man business into a proper organization, which I had an experience doing.
Right.
Building a business. I'd worked, most of the places I'd worked prior, I was already doing some sort of management stuff. So I just had this natural thing for putting things together. So it was a case of, you know what, you focus on creating, I will focus on operations and putting things together and hiring people. Interestingly, I also have this enthusiasm for organizational psychology.
Right.
Which I fell in love with when I watched the series Billions.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is good, not just HR, just looking at the psychology of how people think and how people relate in the workplace.
Yeah.
And not your regular workplace, creative spaces. So I was excited about, trying out things within
something
that space.
Different.
So it's really been that journey. Prior to that, we've always been friends, literally best of friends. We bounce ideas with each other. We're both creatives. We create everything together. So it was just a natural thing.
Was it a natural progression?
Yeah, I believe so. Because even when we weren't working together, we literally were doing everything together. The only thing was just we weren't working in the same place together. I would have an idea, or I would have a brief from work, and I have this idea. He's my bounce board. What do you think? How are you seeing this? This is my perspective. It's the same with him. As little as, Bola, let me read this email. What do you think it reads like? So you're constantly bouncing things through. So it was just a natural flow of things to just do things together. It does have its challenges, as with every other thing, but all in all, it's the world I know. So it's normal to me.
I mean, I've seen successful partnerships between spouses, running the same business in the same kind of industry.
Right.
When you talk about it in circles that are not that they can't understand, they can't relate to it, you start hearing things like, but do you want your wife to be knowing every single thing that you are doing, or I don't want her to know every single money that is coming in, and it becomes a question of, why do we want to tubo ashiri too? Like, why do we want to let everything out in the open? And do you feel like it speaks to, you mentioned friendship, but does it also speak to a level of distrust in a way?
So different strokes for different folks, right? So I'm not going to say this way is the best or that way is better. I mean, everybody does what they think is best for them. But my mantra has always been, even if you had secrets, the last person you need to have secrets with is the person who's closest to you. Because that's your last line of defense. And it's both ways. The man for the woman and the woman for the man. So it's literally you guys against the world. If you are going to crumble, right, nobody can get to you until that last line of defense is faulty. So it's better you don't even create those cracks in the first place. So I see people go in the perspective of, because I don't want something to happen, I'm going to stop myself from experiencing something so that I don't get a heartbreak. The thing is, you're already breaking your heart. In fact, you're getting heartbroken twice. Because the ease you're supposed to live with, you're stopping yourself from living that just for some imaginary doom.
Imaginary as
that might happen
exactly in your mind. Well, anyway, this isn't a conversation about yourself and your husband. This is in conversation with Bola herself.
Yes.
A woman who creates, a woman in the media and entertainment space. And I'm wondering, at some point, you understand that media is powerful. It shapes what people believe, what people see. At what point in your life or at what point in your career did you feel the weight of that power?
So I'll answer it like this. Without understanding the weight of what media carried, some little girl in me way back had always dreamed of having an empire that could shape perspectives, generally. What it was going to be, I didn't know. I remember in secondary school, I used to dream of having an academy of arts. Then I wanted to have an empire around media. I didn't know what it was going to be. So the point that I disturbed my parents to a point they took me to go look at a land. I remember then 5 acres. I would never forget. And till today, I wonder what made my mom take me to that point that, come and go and see the land for this empire you keep talking about you want to build, and we asked for the price. We couldn't afford it, but she let me dream. Now, fast forward to now. I remember when we were starting Popcentral, which started as a response to what happens with our clients. So we were quite expressive. We had a production company, RedboxAfrica, and we're quite expressive with how we interpreted briefs. Then clients would be very reluctant to do some of the things that we proposed. Then, of course, because you needed the money now, you do what they want.
What?
So Popcentral was an answer to that.
Right.
Like, you know what, we're going to create a platform where we can do all of the crazy things that we're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were coining what Popcentral was supposed to be about, we said we wanted to re-engineer youth culture in Nigeria. The first outing that we went for as Popcentral, when we were trying to come up with the ideas of how we were going to interact, people were like, oh, freebies, you have to, and I stood my ground. I'm like, no, I don't believe in freebies, especially for young people. It creates a sense of entitlement. Even if it's a song, even if it's tell them to just do a shout out, do something before you get a pack. And that was the first day that I saw a change in people's reactions. Everybody came wanting the usual stuff because that's what they expected. And for the first time, I saw people place value on brand teas. Because suddenly we made them do something
To get one.
You know? And I felt, okay, if we could do this at this small scale,
You can do it at a bigger scale.
there's a lot more that we could do. So seeing that generally, the second time I saw the weight of media, we did a show called, which was a stretch for us, The Rush. And every time we got feedback, we used to get emails, random emails. When is The Rush coming back? The Rush was a reality show, a very high adrenaline kind of show, you know. Think of MTV Challenge, think of Survivor,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
think of Gold Ultimate Search, you know, things like that. And it was so massive. And it wasn't just massive as a show, it was life-changing, not just for the contestants, but for people at home. It showed them that, oh, I could put my mind to something, set my body to something and do it. The biggest change was when we got feedback from outside. Oh my God, I need this. When are you coming back with this? We need to see this. I'm like, okay, we're touching lives. We're touching lives. So that's the biggest prize for me.
Your aim is to re-engineer youth culture.
Right.
You are using, you are reaching out to Gen Z, you're using Gen Z related content discussed, you're using Gen Z talent.
Right.
You're obviously seeing the trends that Gen Z are setting. So what's the future that you see for them in the media and entertainment space?
I think they see I think they see the world different. And I think the worst thing you can do for them is to block them from doing what they're seeing. Because you're not necessarily seeing the same things. So I think that what we try to do most of the time, especially with the people who work with us, is you let them, but you guide them. You guide them because you have experience. You can see potential pitfalls or major damages that could come out of probably a certain decision or something. But most importantly, you let them.
Yeah.
Let them do as they see. Let them express. What I tell people most of the time, and I like to think that Popcentral stands for that most to people, is we're a platform of expression. We do not limit how we express. As a brand, beyond the TV, we express in so many other ways. We're probably the most dynamic media platform that you come across. With food, you find us there. With anything, you find us there. With think of any type of shows, whatever. We're usually open to as many ways to express as possible. And because we believe in the duality of every human nature. So before Popcentral came, anything that spoke to youth only spoke to youth through music, music videos. But young people are interested in more than music. There are subcultures everywhere. You have food subcultures, fashion subcultures, content subcultures. There's so many subcultures. So narrowing everything to just music videos it's a bit
limiting. Yeah.
right? So we basically just gave a platform to you coming up with an idea and doing what you want to do. And that's sort of like the DNA of Popcentral. We have something called a co-creation model. What that simply means is that, hey, we're not claiming to have the monopoly of all the nice ideas, right? For anyone to do. So if you have an idea, we know our audience, we know what we want to say. But we believe there are nice ideas everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're constantly harnessing, constantly inviting people to come over and let's collaborate and do work together. And quite frankly, 80% of the things you find on Popcentral are co-created.
Interesting. And speaking about co-creation, women's voices in media, I think, are getting louder. I like to think, in a previous conversation, I said, the gender gap is closing as far as I'm concerned. Now, whether it is going to get to where we want it to get to, I don't know. But speaking as a woman in media and leading the channel and the platform that you do, are there conversations where you feel like women's voices are still missing? They should still be involved in, and just put in mind, of course, the young women that you are also leading as well.
I don't know about missing, right? What I have noticed, the trend that I have noticed, and I did say this to someone, I think a while ago. I said the trend I see in the world generally, and not just in media, is we're going to have a skewed world very soon where you have more women than men actually doing stuff. Before we find that balance. Because there are lots of conversations encouraging women to put themselves out there to do. Women feel like they have to do double the work to be seen. And we're seeing the results. Even within the team, you find that once you have a smart woman on a job, before you know it, she outranks everybody. Even amongst Gen Zs, they put themselves more to work. Now, you find a lot of those who are not interested in doing much and feel entitled because they're women.
Yes.
Which I can't stand. But when you find those willing to put themselves to work, in no time, they often lead. So when we're talking about missing spaces, I don't know, I would say maybe the spaces women are yet to discover. Yeah, or maybe they don't have an interest in yet. But once a woman decides to put herself to work, in no time, they get up quickly. That's what I have noticed.
Do you think that there's an existing, or rather, if there's an existing narrative about women in media that you'd like to change, what do you think that would be?
So I think people feel media is hard. Yeah. Because media is a game of love. You've got to love it. It's not just about what you earn from it. Hell, I don't think it pays that much. Comparatively. It's an industry of love, passion, sweat, and blood. It requires everything from you. So within that space, you find maybe the women there often turn to become one of the boys,
right?
Because you're in production till late night. You're this, you're that. But once again, I'll take it back to passion and what do you want to do. If as a woman you find that your passion is in media, give it your 100%. I don't think there's any narrative really to change. Apart from, if you want to do it, just know from my own observation, once you commit yourself to it, it doesn't take as long before you rise up. And by your own merit, I'm not saying for other reasons.
Yes.
By your own merit, from my observation, once women commit to something, irrespective of what industry, you don't find audio female female engineers, you don't find female DOPs, you don't find this, no. The few that you find, They're often excellent at it.
So there's no narrative to change per se.
Just what you
Just
want
be.
to do. Just
Just
be.
be.
In fact, that's my message to women, quite frankly.
Just be.
Just be.
Just be.
Don't be in competition. Find yourself. What do you want to be? And just stay on that lane and be. Irrespective of if you're competing with a man or not, it doesn't matter. Just be on that lane. Chase your hustle. And you're good to go. That's how I see it.
I think, obviously, I think that the whole conversation around how much we've pushed women to be.
Oh, yeah.
How
the results are here.
Results are here now. And perhaps maybe it's because maybe there are more women than there are men. I don't think it's 50-50 anymore, as they say it used to be. I don't know whether it's a question of because more women are stepping out, it seems as if there are less men who are there are less opportunities, or there are more opportunities for women to shine. Is it because they make the louder noises and use social media a lot more?
You mean women?
I mean women, yes.
Okay.
Over men. The point is that there seems to be this conversation around pushing this feminism agenda that has now turned into emasculation of men,
which is a problem. I need men in my life. Come on. I need my son to grow a man. So I think you got it right. I think there are lots of conversations. So it feels like there's more going on, right? And I wouldn't say don't have conversations. Oh, no. We're seeing the results, right? It's yielding. More people are seeing. Oftentimes we need permission to live our dreams. And when I say permission to live our dreams, you need to be able to see someone who can show you, so this is possible. There's a possibility in this. I'll give you a very practical example. Back in the day when we're actively doing production, we were one of the first media houses that used to do something called TV branding, channel branding. So the difference between an Al Jazeera and CNN, for example, all those montages, the feel, the vibe of a channel, that's what we call channel branding. So there was this audio guy, Michael, and his own space of expertise I carved for himself was sound design. And I used to marvel at what Michael does. Everybody wanted to be a producer, a music producer, because that's what they were seeing. And I thought of, we need to do a reality show, we need to show people other possibilities of what can happen, right, so that people have other options of what to. If you see anybody in music, it's either they're audio engineers or they want to be a music producer. Movies, there are people who score music in movies, there are people who do the sound design, there are people
buckloads of money,
tons of it, but nobody knows. Somebody needs to show. Now, that's what I mean by people need permission to live their dreams. You need to see someone ahead of you to be able to do that. And I think that's what women have been able to show other women. I think what's going on now is the emasculation of men is also partly the fault of men, because men would not speak. Men just let women most of the time. If you say nonsense about a marriage, just look at you. Just leave her. But I feel like just as much as we put in a lot of effort, we need to now put in that much effort to grooming our young boys. Because the message I often have for women is, for every man you hate, because now it's looking like it has become a gender war.
Your daughter is going to hit that man in front.
For every man you hate, you are a contributing factor.
You are a contributing
because
factor.
You have a brother, you have a father, you have an uncle, probably have a son. How are you grooming your son? What kind of man will he become in the future? Will he become that man that you detest so much? And sometimes we let these emotions cloud us and not allow us to be strategic or tactful in what we do. We just lead with emotions. And I think that's one of the craziest thing that is going on now. We need a balance.
Definitely need a balance.
We need that balance.
Then we need men in our lives.
I need a man to do all the heavy lifting in my life, right? And yes, I mean, I have a 15-year-old boy who already does the electrical stuff in the house, already does. I need that sanity. If somebody is going to go into a dark place, it's not me. It's my husband and the boy. Why do I want to emasculate them? I need them to be men. I don't need my daughter to be like a man. I don't believe in kinging women.
Right. You boys be kings.
Stay queens.
Ladies be queens.
Yes, please.
I get that. But I think that is also narratives that the media can help to reinforce.
Absolutely.
And perhaps maybe where we are now is because the media has reinforced has shaped certain or framed certain narratives, and so there's a huge obligation, as far as I'm concerned, with how we then reshape those narratives and, like you say, re-engineer cultures and perceptions and ideologies.
Yeah, so
especially in the minds of the young people.
Just to chip this in quickly, I think the media, currently as we have it today, is doing a lot of disservice to us generally as a people. And I also think it's because the entry level to publishing information has become so easy. It's become so low because everybody has a phone. Everybody now broadcasts stuff. And unfortunately, because of the craze of social media and the numbers and all of that, you find that major media houses also begin to pander to public unbalanced narratives. I think the job of the media really is to create balance. Our job is to, okay, there's a narrative going on. You must do your research on side A, on side B, and report both sides and find a middle ground. But the times have changed. Gone are the days when media didn't used to take a stand. Today, media takes a stand.
They take sides as well.
Takes sides.
Yeah.
And because they take sides, they are now victims of cancellation. So because they don't want to get cancelled and they don't want to lose their bread. So what then is the difference between a media house who's supposed to be informed and an authority on something? What's the difference between you and the uninformed person on the street?
Yeah. Anyways, Bola, it's been absolutely amazing speaking with you.
Same.
We started off on one tangent
and ended somewhere else.
But I think we've had a very nice trajectory in the discussion, talking about working with your spouse, and also how you use media as well, right? Looking at the young people and who you're influencing,
right?
And I guess that also probably makes you hold yourself to a high standard.
Absolutely.
Because you've got to be not just a role model, but you've got to be an example,
right?
For the people that you are leading, and it means that your values and your morals have to be on points.
Well, I try not to put myself on a pedestal. I'm still human. But yeah, we try our best. We try our best.
Well, we see the work that Popcentral is doing. We see the narratives that they're trying to shape, and I think that it's very progressive.
Thank you.
I think it's progressive, and I'm looking forward to really, really exciting things. And of course, thank you for also availing the space to us to have these conversations.
You're welcome.
It's been absolutely amazing. And the final question I want to ask you is, why do you create?
It's the only way I'd survive living in this world before I die. That's the only way. I live for expression. I must express myself in every way that my spirit turns at every time. I don't want to I don't want to. I heard a statement once that says, "May you die empty." Pastor make that prayer.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to die empty. I want to die empty, completely empty. And what that means is I must have, no matter how small that interest is, I get a flicker of something, I try it, I do it. I've done so many things with my hands. I've tried makeup, I've done jewelry, I've done cement crafts. Yeah, I've made t-shirts. I might not do it as a commercial venture, but anything I feel like doing, I do it.
I guess Bola's comments, if I can summarize it to you, would be just be. You have the permission to be who you want to be and do what you want to do, and don't let anyone take that permission away from you. This is She Creates, in conversation with Bola Yinka-Obebe.